Previously on Jolandaland.
So far, I'm feeling good. The recovery has been amazing. I was really lucky. The first time I was back on the bike, I was really thinking, how can people survive without riding bikes?
I'm not used to this anymore.
We kept going until, I guess, beginning of March, and then suddenly it was like, bam.
April, May, June, July, August, 5 months. God, that was almost half a year ago. Recently, so many people ask me what's happening with Jolandaland, like when is the next episode coming out and blah blah blah. And I think maybe we could even, mention it in the episode and just say like we couldn't film anymore because of travel restrictions. I think that would be cool. So this spring I spent almost 3 months in North America in Pisgah Forest at Luca's place, and I pretty much got there when the whole Corona thing kicked off, and then for most of the lockdown I was there. All the races that would have been happening then got cancelled, and we didn't really know what was coming up next. For me that was the ideal time to take a step back from training. Usually I'm racing from early spring to late summer, and then sometimes during winter I do some cyclocross. Couple months completely off the radar. That was something new to me. So when I got back home end of May, I definitely started to train again, and pretty much full on as soon as I got back home. And luckily it was summer and the riding was really good, so I made the most of it. For the longest time we had no idea how the World Cup would turn out this year and what was even on the calendar, and then when we finally got a calendar, races started to be cancelled again.
Wow, it was a big storm here.
I think to me at that moment it didn't matter too much because I had some short-term goals. I knew a Swiss Cup was coming up, Swiss Championships was coming up. To go to Leukerbad to the first Swiss Cup race after the long break, I was just super happy to race again, like no matter where I was at. In June we had a trainings camp with the Swiss team, with all the Swiss girls are riding on a really good level in the World Cup. And we did some exercises together, some intervals and some sprints. And I was so far back, like sometimes I was last. I mean, it was kind of logical, but at the same time it was a shock for me. I felt so good in that race. I felt so much better than I would have thought. Everyone else just started to drop back, and I just could keep riding the same speed, and I felt great and keep going, and I ended up in second place. So happy about that, and I was so surprised. It felt huge for me, just because it was my first race back. Now 6 times on the mountain bike and 9 times in total, with 2 wins on the road and 1 time in cyclocross. Swiss Championships was the perfect race for me. It couldn't have gone any better. From the very first moment on, as soon as the start gun went off, my legs were really good, and after half a lap I was already alone in the lead. In every lap I got about 20 more seconds, and at the finish line I had 2 minutes 30 of advantage, and to me it was a perfect race. I felt so good.
Dem Schweizer Meistertitel entgegen Jolanda.
I was back to full health. I had zero pain. I could ride my bike the way I wanted to ride it. That was the most important thing for me. It felt amazing, and that feeling on the bike, that is the most precious and the most important thing to me, and that was in a very good place. For sure, my cross-country bike, the Trek Super Caliber, that's my favorite bike. But I do love to ride my road bike, the Imonda, the Madone. I love my cyclocross bike. I love to take my Slash for a ride or go to the bike park with the session. I begged for it. I didn't just ask for it. I put all the pressure on that I possibly could to get that bike.
Got it! Last time I did it the other way around. Last time I rode my road bike there and then rode my downhill bike, but then I was so tired that I couldn't really ride anymore.
She's an expert at trying to fit as many things into one day as possible, and it usually is a huge mess, but we're gonna give it a go.
Sometimes it's hard to plan something for me because I have this route in mind that I would love to do, and then halfway up the mountain I realize it's not gonna happen. And then I try to turn it into a nicer ride, but then it turns out worse.
Just gotta basically rebuild the bike.
It's not always that easy.
Find a bunch of parts that are unique. Trek's not paying me enough as her stay-at-home mechanic. But do you want to ride it and just make sure it seems good?
Sure.
Because usually you do that when we're there, and then usually something wrong.
Anyone else?
Pit stop. Why? Need some air in the fork, I think.
Are you my Charlie now?
Here's my pre-ride mix.
Oh, we should play the drum party. Oh, sweet. Look at that. JBL. Walker's favorite song.
Working on the night shift, baby. Dying for your
Gonna shed a tear.
Long day, I told me you never broke my heart. No.
My back was broken.
Wasn't my fault, I promise.
So I'm just doing part 2 of my date. Skipping part 1. After all, he's not a mechanic. What do you think?
Something I always think about in Switzerland, everything's like really tidy and nice. So that's obviously cool. Not really, to be honest. Maybe it's just the language barrier that's still a big challenge and something I definitely need to work on.
I think there are some great places for him in Switzerland. The BMX track.
You can do it! Go, go, go!
I love being in the mountains and I love riding my bike, so in that regard, I definitely feel like I fit in. But yeah, still kind of trying to find my feet, I'd say.
Skirt is not so ideal to ride.
BMX our tire. We're just on the way, can't talk. We're on the way to the lake, man.
Yeah, when your job doesn't involve as much traveling, it's easier to be in one place and to just have a routine and the day-to-day life.
Oh, they look good. It's definitely tough at times, but it's not boring, that's for sure.
Our own yacht.
The boat is like this.
That's my like 5 million boat. That's good training. That's just what we need.
Almost out into the open ocean. Where do you want to go?
Germany. That way. Germany.
I'm not sure how safe jumping.
I'm not gonna have as much style as you have. The more time we spend at each other's place, the more it feels like home to us as well. And then it also gets to a point where you can just come home and relax, and I guess that's the main thing.
God, I could do with an ice cream now.
So it's cool to be here in Alpe. I've never ever been here. It's so famous and so iconic for cycling. And I actually came here with a lot of expectations. I thought it's gonna be super rad because I always love races in France. The tracks everywhere I've been were always super cool, and I must say this one is a bit different. It's not that exciting. It's a pretty old school track. It's one long uphill and then one long downhill. Not that technical, but yeah, I guess in the end the fitness will make all the difference. It will just be whoever climbs that hill fastest is gonna win. For me, it's my first race outside of Switzerland, so it's just good to be here, good to get racing, and there's no room to hide. On a mountain bike race, you just need to be fit or you're not up there, so I guess that's what I like about it. There's not really that much tactics to it, it's just race your bike as fast as you can.
It's nuts. Like it's a totally, I feel like it's a different set of skills to ride like a little bike that well. You can't just let off the brakes and fly. Like you have to like really pump and pick your line, and kind of, it's really technical, and yeah, it definitely has given me a lot more respect for what the cross country riders do and how good of technical riders they are. Sometimes I'm almost more nervous watching her race because I feel like, you know, helpless, than when I race. It's like I feel like I'm in control. So.
Think that's gonna work?
Yeah. Perfect.
So not perfect. That is so not perfect.
As you can see, there's a few more things to get used to. We're sleeping down lower than we're not staying at altitude, so she's not sleeping at altitude. It's just hydration. Now it's getting warm, so she's warming up. Cool. Likewise, there's not a great deal of difference. As long as all the settings are done at this altitude, they stay the same.
It's my first race with her, but I think it's a beer grab.
I couldn't go faster, but I also didn't feel like I was completely at the limit. Yeah, like nothing ever is like a race. No matter how hard you train, it's so different in a race still. But for all the adrenaline and people around you and the downhills and, you know, just the racing itself.
No rules that I obey.
I think every race that we really have is a huge win for everyone. Even though if it's just online, it still is a huge win, and I want to continue my comeback. I did have my comeback on the national level, but I want to have my comeback on the international level.